Welcome back, everyone. I'm excited to introduce you to a new concept of inputting users' information. Now, we will do this with the help of a scanner class that is part of Java's huge library of already existing classes that we will use as we move forward in our course. First thing first, let's create a new class. Right-click on our package name, section 2_1, new class. Click. We're gonna call it scanner introduction. S capital, I capital. Now we know why we use first letter of every class name. We use it we define it as an uppercase because class names in Java are all defined in capitalized letters. So finish. Let's create our basic main method. Now there is one shortcut that I'm going to introduce you at this stage. However, I will encourage you every single time to type the full main method definition. But if you're in a rush, just typing in main, clicking and holding control button. This is for Windows users, by the way. Clicking and holding control button and pressing space will open up suggestion for you by Eclipse IDE. It will show you main method and it will give you the structure on the right. Public static void main string array of arguments. Double click. That's it. You got the main method. Again, I strongly encourage you to type this so that you get used to it. Okay. Now, scanner class. This is going to allow us to input information from external user. Basically, this is going to allow user to input information. How we define a scanner class? How do we create an object or create an instance of a scanner class? We simply say it's very similar to how we define a string, right? So we simply say scanner instead of string and give it a name. Let's call it input. Or let's do this way, user input is equal to. Now, this is declaration of a scanner instance, right? Or scanner object. Let's type notes here. Declare a scanner instance, aka also known as object. Now, we did this. However, our Eclipse is complaining. Basically, Eclipse acts as a compiler before the code is running, and it says that if you try to run this code, if you try to execute this code, it will fail. Why? Because it says here, scanner cannot be resolved to a type. We don't know what type a scanner is. Remember when we said string is also a type, it's a class, right? But we never need to import it simply because string class belongs to java.lang package, which is automatically imported before every single class. Java does it for us. But in this case, scanner class belongs to java.util package. To be able to use scanner, you are already familiar with import keyword. We need to import java.util package. From within, we need to import scanner class. We say java.util package name .scanner and close your statement. So this is basically your import statement. It's important. Import statement is defines two things. Number one, it defines that we are going to use scanner class coming from java.util, and number two, it tells the compiler that this scanner class is coming from java.util. In the future, you will see that there will be certain classes that have the same name in different packages. So there can be a different scanner class in different package, right? So I don't want to complicate your understanding, but if I had a scanner class in section 1_1, by saying java.util, I'm telling the compiler that use the scanner class that comes from Java library, not from my library. Okay, so import statement achieves two things. It tells the compiler that the class the class below is going to use a scanner class, and this scanner class comes from java.util package. This is to make sure that we understand the goal of import statement. As soon as we do this, now compiler is not complaining anymore. There is a yellow warning sign saying that the value of the local variable user input is not used, but this is not a red sign, right? This is not a red warning. This is just a yellow information saying that we declared an instance, but we have never used it. So let's do this. Before we go any further, we're just going to instantiate this user input, right? Variable. Let's call it instantiate or assign the user input object. We're not going to call them variables anymore. We're going to call them objects, because this is a class, this is its instance, and when we assign value or instantiate it, we call it scanner object. Now, I'm going to show you how the syntax is for instantiating a scanner object. We're going to say new. We're going to repeat ourselves and say scanner, open parentheses, type in system.in. Now, I will go over this real quick, but I will not expect you and I will not ask you to understand every single concept here. We'll look at it later on. We'll look at every single line of it, every single letter of it. But today, all you will need to do is understand that when we declare a scanner, this scanner object, this is how we instantiate it. Okay? Just to avoid confusion, let's comment this out and let's declare and instantiate a scanner object in one sentence, in one line. Scanner user input is equal to new scanner system.in. This is what we saw in our content material, so I want to keep it the way we saw it in order to avoid confusion. But based on our knowledge from variables, you know that a data type, a variable, whatever it is, can be declared and instantiated, or value can be assigned to it on two different lines. This we're going to see a lot all the time. So these two lines are the same and can be done in a single line. Okay, so what did we do here? We declared a scanner object called user input, and we instantiated to a new scanner object. Okay, one thing we will see here is the new keyword. Every time you're going to create a type of an object, you will use new keyword. We will see that we can even use this with strings, even though strings are special. We will see how and when we use this keyword new with a string. You don't use new. Only time you don't use new is when you're dealing with primitives. Every other time you're going to use the new keyword. Okay? Now that we have seen how to declare a scanner, let's do this. Let's try the basic program, right, where we will ask the user to input some information. So how can we ask a user to do something? We're going to print out something to the console. So please type something. Okay. Now, when I run this program, what happens is it says, please type something, and it stops if I can't type anything, right? Now, for me to allow the user to type something, I'm going to call the user input variable or user input object, the scanner object. And I'm going to call it by name, and I'm going to press dot. When I press dot, Eclipse opens up all the options for me. We're going to ignore most of them at this stage. What you're going to need to remember is you need to call nextLine. Next, L capital. Remember the naming convention. Variables and methods start with lowercase and continue with uppercase. There are two nextLine matches. One has nextLine, you're going to ignore that. Another one is nextLine. It says string next to it. So double click on it, or simply type input, user input dot next line, open parentheses, close parentheses, and it automatically filled in has nextLine, but I'm sorry, hold on. So user input dot next line. Now, when I run this program, I come here, something. I type something, it's different color coded. When I press enter, program is executed and it's terminated. Okay, nothing happened. Reason nothing happened is Java reads the code from top to bottom. It comes here, it says that okay, this class is going to be located in section 2.2_1. We're going to need to import the scanner class from the Java util package. Okay, this class's name is scanner introduction. I have my main method here. These are some comments, I'm going to ignore them. Okay, here we're using a scanner class, and we're creating an object of a scanner class, and we're going to call it user input. Now here I'm going to print something, and I will say that please type something on the console, which I did here. Here I'm going to wait for the user's input. That's why when we run this program one more time, when the program reaches here to this level, then it types it, then it comes here to line 19, and when I click on this console here, it blinks. It means the program is running and waiting for me to enter something. You can see that program is running by looking at this red square here. If this square is active, it means you can click it and terminate the program, which means the program is running. Okay. Now, when I type something like John, enter, program is terminated now, because when I typed something, code read it and moved on to the next line, and there is nothing in the next line. If you want to make a use of what user has typed in, you're going to need to take the value that the user typed in from the by using the next line method and assign it somewhere. If you leave it like this, it's just going to move on. The program is going to move on. So what you need to do, let's create a variable, a string object, or string literal, or string variable. We're going to call it users input, or let's not confuse, we're going to call it input1, right? Or let's do, so we declared a string called input1, and when we come here, we're going to say input1 is equal to users input.nextLine. Okay, so when we run this program, again, we come here, it says please type something. I type in John, enter, still nothing happened. Simply because now program came here, asked you to type something, it showed up here. Program came to the next line, string input, it created a new variable of type string, okay, and program came here, input is equal to user input.nextLine, and it's waiting for you to type in John. You typed in John, right? It assigned John to input1. Since you didn't do anything with input1, it just terminated. So let's do something with input1. We're going to say system.out.println, you typed, and we're going to add input1 here. All right, so now we're going to print this input1. Let's try it one more time. Run it. Please type something. Jane. Enter. Voila, we have you typed Jane. So now what happened? Again, from top to bottom, we imported our scanner, blah, blah, blah. We ignored the comments. We came here, created a scanner object. We came here, printed out, please type something like this. We came here, we created a variable, we created the string object called input1. Then we came here and we waited for the user to type in something. User typed in Jane, and we assigned the value. We assigned Jane as a string back onto input1, and then we came here and we printed it. Okay, that's it. This is how the scanner program works. You can have a scanner do multiple things. You can have scanner concatenate things for you, but basically this is as simple as a scanner, as a simple explanation of how a scanner class works. You can continue this program by saying I'm going to create a string variable, another string variable called input2, and I'm going to do this. Let me do this in a single line, right? This is one block of code. Then I come here, open up some space. I'm going to say system out println, or let's do print, because when I do print, it types on the same line, right? Please type something else. Okay, we did this, enter, and I say string input2 is equal to, take the user input object, call its method called nextLine, close the statement. Now my input2 is going to have a value from user's input. Now let's do this. System, let's print out, print lane input2. Your second input was space input2. Now, when I run this program, the program executes up to the point here, right? Please type something. Then program, when I start, program goes to sprint string input1. Program goes to input is equal to user input dot next line. So program is at this stage now. It's waiting for me to do something. So when I type something, let's say typed first line, enter. What happened is it took the typed first line, assigned it to input1, then it moved on to the next line, system out print line, you typed input1, it says you typed first line, right? Then it moves on to system out print, please type something else, and it comes to the next line, user input dot next line, it's waiting for another input that it's going to assign into this input2 variable. Let me do this is to be assigned to input2 variable, enter, and then it moves on, prints out, your second input was, this is to be assigned to input2 variable. Basic explanation, basic example. Go ahead, have fun with this. For example, instead of saying you typed colon and typed first line, try to add quotation marks behind, before and after. Try to add single quotation marks. So try practicing with the knowledge that you have up to now. But basically, this is how we can ask the user to input something via keyboard, and then we can manipulate users' input. We're gonna move forward and learn more methods provided, given by this scanner class, and will improve our knowledge on this. I'll see you in the next video.